Hey everyone, my name is Trey Edwards. I'm a project manager here at Coinbase, and I'm here today to officially announce the new partnership that we have between the University of Nicosia as well as Coinbase. More specifically, I want to talk about our brand new Coinbase Scholarship and why we think that this is going to be so impactful for people moving forward. During the course of the next 20 to 30 minutes, I'd love for us to talk a little bit about the inspiration behind creating this scholarship, and then spend the majority of our time together speaking with two of the people who were instrumental in making it happen. That will be Aicha Williams, who is the Director of Belonging, Inclusion, and Diversity here at Coinbase, as well as Antonis Polemitis, who is the CEO of the University of Nicosia. Before we jump into speaking with them, I'd love to tell you a little bit about myself and why I felt so inspired to create this scholarship. Now, at the time, it was in 2017, and I didn't feel like I had all of these skills and expertise needed to really start making an outsized impact. And so I started looking for different ways to really level up my experience and my knowledge. That's when I came across a crypto author and thought leader named Andreas Antonopoulos, and through him, I found the University of Nicosia. He teaches the first course of the program along with Antonis, who we have here today. And that course was completely free. So I enrolled in it and was astonished by some of the topics discussed. It was the first time which I had seen blockchain and digital currency described in a way that honestly anyone could understand. I had a community of other people taking the course with me from around the world. And I loved the weekly sessions where we had the opportunity to discuss the topics and really help each other understand the fundamentals of this technology. After I took that first course, I was absolutely hooked on moving forward. So I applied to the degree and was accepted. So for about a year and a half, from 2018 to the middle of 2019, I worked full-time as a project manager for a software company and full-time in grad school. Talk about a busy time. It was definitely worth it though, because the program was honestly my favorite educational experience I've ever had. I say that for a couple of reasons. So first, I started off the program by learning about the fundamentals of what is money in the first place. I'll never forget the course where we really broached the concept of breaking down the qualities of money, as well as understanding what makes for a sound money, what makes for a money that stands the test of time, and how can we leverage blockchain and digital currency in order to build a better version of money. From that course, we then built on to it by learning about the fundamentals of blockchain technology from a technical perspective, as well as learning about how we could apply it in our day-to-day lives. After I graduated the program, I felt very well equipped to apply my project management skills and knowledge of the technology to really make an impact, which is what brought me to Coinbase. I now work as a project manager here, and outside of my day job, one thing that I'm incredibly passionate about is ensuring that as we're building the future of finance, that we're doing so in a way that includes the people who we're trying to serve. It's very important to me that as we build the future of finance, that Black and other traditionally underrepresented communities not only are aware and knowledgeable about this technology, but that we have a seat at the table to help build it. That's where the scholarship comes in. I believe that this scholarship will enable for talented professionals to have the ability to really become experts when it comes down to this technology. I believe that a couple of years from now, we'll be able to see many exciting new companies and projects started by people who have this scholarship. And I think that it ultimately will have a tremendous impact. So that's a little bit about why I found that this technology was so important or this scholarship was so important to create. What I'd love to do now is to give you a little bit of background on our two panelists today, and as far as their roles, and then we'll talk to them about their role when it comes down to increasing belonging, inclusion, and diversity within the crypto industry. So starting off here with Aicha Williams. So Aicha has over 25 years of experience within HR across many different disciplines. She's really one of the gurus here when it comes down to these topics. She has her bachelor's degree from Morgan State University, which is a prominent HBCU and located in Baltimore, Maryland. She also serves on many boards. When she's not at work, Aicha has some really interesting hobbies. Some of my favorites that we have in common are a love for the Godfather series, as well as for the show Billions. Her favorite place of vacation is in Italy, which I haven't had a chance to visit personally, but I absolutely cannot wait to, especially as COVID begins to get better across the world. Now, so that's a little about Aicha, and we'll learn a little bit more about her in just a few minutes. And now I want to move over to Antonis. So first, Antonis, a little shout out for you. I had the chance to take your course back when I started the program, and it was absolutely phenomenal. You really have a knack for describing this technology in a way that anyone can understand. I think that part of that is a testament to some of your background, whether it be your initial bachelor's degree from Indiana University that had an interesting blend of accounting as well as some more technical concepts of computer information studies and more, as well as your MBA from Harvard. I'm sure that definitely helps. Outside of your education, I know that you are a busy guy when it comes down to being the CEO of the university and also teaching the course as well. When you're not at work, it seems like you have some interesting hobbies when it comes down to NFTs, and I can't wait to hear more about where you see the future of that going, because that's been a hot topic. And you also are an Eagle Scout. I have some cousins who are going through that program right now, and I can tell you firsthand, that is intense. So props to you for being able to pull that off. I know that Cyprus is also very famous for its potatoes, so I'm curious to hear more about that one. That's really cool. And you're very active on Twitter there, and we have your handle there at the top. Definitely recommend following him. He's a great follow. So that's a little bit about our two speakers. And now what we want to move into is, Antonis, I'd love to learn a little bit more about yourself. One thing that I would love to start off with is the University of Nicosia is the first university in the entire world to offer this degree. Can you tell us a little bit about how you all got started with the program?
Sure. First of all, I'd like to say I'm delighted to be here, and I'm delighted to be with Coinbase and with an alum. So we love our alum community in this space, and so super excited to be here. So we got involved in the space in 2013. And back then I was on the board of the university. I've been on the board of the university since 2011, but I was living in New York. And I've been CEO since 2016, where I'm responsible for the administrative and financial activities of the university. But in 2013, I was in New York. My background's in finance and technology. And if you remember, back in 2013, there was a bank haircut in Cyprus. And so a variety of crypto folks started kicking around Cyprus to see maybe this would be a place where people would adopt it, right? And our CFO at the time came across one of them, and he called me and said, "Do you know about this Bitcoin thing?" And my initial reaction was, "Oh, no, that's the crazy people that have gold under their beds and shoot at the helicopters." And like, I had come across it in 2011, and to my everlasting shame, just ignored it then. And he went away. And then he came back like a month later and said, "Are you sure?" I said, "Oh, that's interesting," because he's a super conservative guy. And I said, "All right, well, let me do my homework." And so I read the white paper. I said, "Oh, wow, this is super interesting." I went and bought a Bitcoin from Coinbase, actually. I think my first Bitcoin was from Coinbase. And then I called the CFO, and I was running a node on my computer because I have somewhat of a technical background. I said, "All right, let's try this." And it was Saturday afternoon. I'd eaten my bagels or whatever I was doing, right? And this Cyprus, it was 7:00 at night. And I said, "All right, I'm going to send you $20. And I did it. And then, a minute or two later, he's like, "Yep, I have it." And that was my aha moment, because back then, if I wanted to, well, today even, if I wanted to send any amount of money from New York to Cyprus on Saturday, well, it wouldn't start till Monday. It would get there Wednesday. And you can't actually send $20 because the banking fee is going to be like $35 to send it to Cyprus. And so from there, I said, wow, this is unbelievable. Like, I've never seen anything like this. And that's when we started digging in. And so over the course of that fall, we went from, okay, this is intriguing, to, wait, this is actually a major breakthrough in distributed systems. This is a foundational technology of the internet. This is going to be a multi-decade reorganization of how we can move value and trust, and therefore society. And at a first approximation, 99% of people have no idea what they're talking about. And what the initial design parameter of the program was, you'd see a bunch of people deep in the crypto space, and they'd say, "Oh, great, and like next month we're going to, I don't know, revolutionize the insurance industry." But you're not. It's regulated, and there's Like they're not going to let, you can't just do this all in crypto. And actually some of these things have been solved before. We don't need to reinvent them. You can copy them. And then of course, the other side were the traditional financial system folks who oddly in some cases haven't changed much 8 years later. And it's like, oh, this thing's a scam, it's a Ponzi scheme, it's tulip bulbs, it's all this type of stuff. And I said, well, obviously that's not correct either. And we said, well, for this to actually happen, the limiting factor is people, right? This is a foundational technology. It's like electricity, it's like computing, it's like the internet. So it needs to be applied in a variety of contexts. And so people need to know how it works. And so our idea of the program was some of the technical side for people who don't understand cryptocurrency and blockchain, how it works, some of the existing financial system side to understand, how does money work now? How does money move around the system? What's a layer 1 and layer 2 and layer 3 protocol in the financial system, because it exists in the financial system as well. And then some of the legal aspects, because it does touch upon a lot of highly regulated areas. And the goal is not to become a lawyer, of course, but to know, don't put your finger in this plug because this you might actually get hurt. And so the idea is to graduate well-rounded graduates, an MBA, if you will, for the crypto blockchain space. And I think it's been amazing in that regard. We've had about 450 graduates from the master's degree. We've had 45,000 graduates from the free programs. It's for sure the largest alumni community in this space, and people have gone on to do amazing things. We've had a woman who graduated who's in the Forbes top 50 in technology. We've had people leading major divisions of top 5 mega technology companies. We had a Syrian refugee who was in a refugee camp, took the course, was able to get the free course, was able to get a visa. We gave him a scholarship for the program. He now runs a startup. We had an African-American doctor in the States who switched from medicine to being a chief medical officer for a blockchain technology company. And so it's life-changing for many people. And we think that that initial teaching goal has been very successful. Now, if we think more broadly about some things that are important to us, some things that we've been doing in the crypto space and that are also important to the university, I would say the following. We also have a significant research aspect. We probably have the largest team of faculty and admin in the world working on cryptocurrency topics. We're in a variety of research consortiums. We are advising the European Commission on their blockchain strategy as the academic lead for the European Blockchain Observatory and Forum. And we are, part of what gets us super excited about this, we are very multicultural, we are very diverse, we are very oriented towards these topics. 50% of our student population is international, 52% is female. We have ran for years a UNESCO chair, or awarded a UNESCO chair on cultural diversity and intercultural dialogue. We have a scholarship program similar to the one we have with you, with the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, to help people who are in very difficult circumstances. We are one of 100 organizations in Europe who signed the New Deal for Sustainable Growth and Inclusive Prosperity. And more broadly on the Sustainable Development Objectives of the United Nations, we were ranked by Times Higher Education as number 32 in the world on the topic of education. And so there's like 19 different objectives. Some of them are like clean oceans and what have you. Well, our focus is obviously education. We were ranked 32nd in the world in that. And so it's a major weak point right now in the cryptocurrency community. It needs to be more inclusive. First of all, the community needs to be bigger, right? It needs to be bigger by orders of magnitude. The limiting factor is for sure not the technology. It is now people who can take the technology and implement it in various ways. And to do that, the community ultimately has to reflect society, right? It can't be just a subset of society with a subset of interests, which are perfectly valid interests. But if this technology is what we think it is, that it's a way to reorganize social systems around the world, that it has to have representation from every demographic around the world. And it's not that way right now. And I mean, I think we're pretty international and pretty diverse for a cryptocurrency program, but we'd love to do much more. And that's why we're excited to be working on this with you. I mean, we're very impressed how seriously you're taking it, how you have this significant initiative. And I think also, I mean, speaking frankly, you're the recognized leader in the space. I think you taking a big public stance pro inclusiveness and pro diversity, it's going to help other organizations move in this direction as well. Because I think this is a one-way street, right? You can't say we want broad crypto adoption, but where it can't be inclusive. Those things go together. Mathematically, they must go together.
Absolutely. Antonis, I love so many aspects of what you just said. If I hadn't already gone through the program, I would be fired up to go and apply today. That was absolutely wonderful. I think that one of the things that you touched on that really stood out to me was about how inherently conducive the cryptocurrency industry is to a diverse and inclusive population of people interacting with it, whether it be users or even builders. Due to the crypto's ability to be open source and anybody can work to start building on a new crypto project or working for a company, that really opens up to a population of people that previously might not have had the easy ability to interact with the technology. So Aicha, now what I'd love to learn is a little bit more about your role here at Coinbase, because I know that you've been incredibly passionate about increasing diversity and inclusion in many industries, and you've brought your talents now to Coinbase and helping us to increase the amount of representation within the cryptocurrency industry. Can you tell us a little about your role and some of the things that you're passionate about?
Sure. Thanks, Trey. After Antonis, I feel like I should join the program at UNIC. UNIC. Why do I want to keep saying N?
No worries. You're probably thinking of NC State. Maybe that's it. Go Pack.
Not really, but okay. I've been at Coinbase just a little bit, probably not even 3 months yet, but I'm fairly new. I have a lot of experience in human resources in different industries, particularly the diversity and inclusion space for about 10 years solid. I was drawn to Coinbase because of the disruptor of the company. I feel like they're a leader in this space, and I wanted to be a part of that. Also increasing the underrepresented minority group and women, which I represent both of those areas. I think it's very important to close the wealth gap and to educate different populations globally in the digital currency space and blockchain. I think it's a great opportunity, and this scholarship provides a great segue into that environment.
Thanks so much. And I completely agree. And I think that here at Coinbase, we're uniquely positioned to help with that. One thing that I'd love to learn a little bit about is, can you tell us about Coinbase's approach to BID here?
Sure. We have a strategy in place and 2 pillars in particular tied to this scholarship. So I'm very excited about that. We have the top of the funnel diversity goal, where we are really intentionally focusing on underrepresented minorities as well as women in the director level and above. We require that. We have goals around it and OKRs, and we are tracking against it. The second one is support and retain top diverse talent. We're getting ready to roll out a top diverse talent retention program, which would include coaching and an individual development plan, career planning, for our top performers to try to make sure we're retaining them, as well as a GEM mentorship program. our community here through Color Block, which is our ERG, and other community chats on Slack channels, we have built a great community for underrepresented minorities here at Coinbase, and we want to strengthen that through this partnership with UNIC.
Awesome. Yeah, and I can definitely speak to that community there. As a Black man working at Coinbase, I've got to say that I absolutely love the community that we have built. I think that it with us being remote first, it can be hard at times to have that sense of connection. But I feel like we have really been very intentional about how we're making space for ourselves to get to know each other, whether it be in a structured conversation about how we can advance our careers, or just having some time to just kick it and get to know each other. So I've really enjoyed that aspect. I think that one thing that I'd be curious to learn from you, Aicha, as we wrap up is, I know that Coinbase has some very ambitious plans for belonging and inclusion, diversity in the future. If Brian Armstrong were to come to you today and say, hey, you have $1 million budget to go out and go for any of the initiatives that you'd like, how would you spend the money?
I think my human resources background would kick in and say, I think that education in this space needs to start early. I learned about Bitcoin from my son, who was in middle school at the time. He was educating me. And just like other financial channels, I don't think we do enough education early enough. So I would probably start a nonprofit that focused on underrepresented minorities and women, something like Code 2040 or Black Girls Code, but something specific to getting education early in this space, and then building a talent pipeline for companies such as Coinbase, as well as scholarship recipients with UNIC and the partnership that we have with them.
I love that. Thanks so much for sharing. And Brian, if you're watching it, hey, now you have a great idea about some things we can do. And so Antonis, I'll wrap up with a similar question for you. So I know that within the crypto industry, there have been a lot of exciting projects that have taken place this year. I know that NFTs and DeFi especially have seen a lot of traction. If you were able to go and fund one project or within one of those industries, what would you like to see? Like, what do you feel like the industry is lacking right now in order to move forward?
It's a great question. And it's interesting when I see our team members, what they're focused on right now. There's a set of them focused running a lab on level 1 protocols, alternative level 1 protocols. There's another group of them super excited about DeFi and digging into that. And there's another group that I'm quite actively involved in. And I think maybe I'm a little bit more bullish on this than the rest, which is NFTs. And there, 2 seconds on grand theory and then some specifics we're working on. I think NFTs are a much bigger thing than even people think they are today. I don't think they are going to stop at art and collectibles. I think if you look around in the world at large, almost everything is an NFT, right? Very few things in the real world are fungible, right? Everyone on this call, your house, your car, a hotel room, a billboard in Times Square, everything's non-fungible. And so if you believe that there will be digital representation of the world and tokenization of the world and digital trust of the world, the majority of the world is going to be represented in NFTs, not in fungible tokens. So bucket 1 is it's going to be gigantic. Bucket 2 is I think we're seeing the beginnings of the booting up of the metaverse. And in the metaverse, we will have this kind of mixed reality, augmented reality, virtual reality, mixed reality concept with the objects represented as NFTs. And I think there's a super interesting theory here that this will bring in whole different communities into crypto. So up until now, basically crypto is relevant, has been most relevant to the financial and technological community. With NFTs, you've now seen a subset of the artist community coming in. But this will continue, right? When you have a metaverse, you will see architects get involved. You will see musicians get involved. And so one of the things that as in my second theory about NFTs, it's going to expand the scope of the community tremendously. Now, a project we're working on, and I'd love to put more resources on is something called NFT valuations. And this is something that I started with a small team a few weeks ago. And we started with our very mini beginning point was trying to put real-time values on CryptoPunks. But the idea is to extend it to a variety of collections, because if you think of NFTs as being composable within the broader ecosystem of crypto, you need some way to represent their value, even if it's not, and it's obviously harder and less accurate than a fungible token. But we believe with machine learning and sufficient data, you can actually get reasonable point estimates and quite good ranges. So you might not be able to say that CryptoPunk 1,325 is exactly 15 Ether, but you might be able to say it's 15 Ether with a confidence interval of 2.5 Ether, which that's enough to make NFTs composable. And I think that's actually super important glue for the next stage of crypto's development. And so it's one of those things. I'm excited about it because I think it will unlock many more things than the project itself.
That's phenomenal. And so if our audience wants to learn more about the NFT valuations or even just follow other things that you're interested in, what's the best way for them to connect with you, whether it be on Twitter or elsewhere?
So Twitter is the best way to connect with me. Oddly enough, I suspect direct messages on Twitter get to me faster than any other method, including calling my office. NFT valuations, we are looking to grow the team. They have their own Twitter account at NFT valuations, also on Twitter. So by all means, would love for people to reach out.
Great. So now we have had a chance to hear from both Aicha as well as Antonis about their respective backgrounds and why they're so passionate about diversity within the cryptocurrency community. I hope that you all have a great understanding about not only the scholarship, but about why we feel like it can be such a great fit for anyone here, regardless of your background. I want for you all to know that when it comes down to building within the cryptocurrency industry, there is absolutely a place for you. So if you're interested in pursuing this degree, I encourage you to follow the instructions that you see here on the screen that will take you through the process of registering your interest, completing the application, and then applying. If you have any questions at all, feel free to connect with us on social media or on LinkedIn. We're happy to help, and we have some contact information listed in the details of the scholarship as well. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope you all have a great day.